It is the crime that is gripping the nation right now and sending social media into a frenzy. I'm sure you've seen the post on your social media feed to know what we're talking about.
All over, right? Talking about Luigi Mangione, the 26-year-old Marylander accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. I mean, he became an internet sensation. You can't sugarcoat it. A lot of folks celebrating his alleged crimes and even calling for his story to be a future season of Ryan Murphy's show Monster.
Yeah, TMZ reporting Mangione merch is now flying off the shelves. So what is this fascination with murder and this era of glorifying killers? Here to weigh in is founder of Group Therapy Associates, Esther Boykin. Thanks so much for joining us here. We've been all trying to wrap our heads around this over the past few days.
Yeah, you know, it's anytime I think there's such a public incident like this, a public murder like that, there is a level of fascination and shock and outrage. But I think what is probably really capturing us is really the public reaction, which I think feels really different than what we might have anticipated when we see, you know, any other kind of public murder like this.
I mean, there's a lot at play here that we'll get into. But, you know, first and foremost, how do you separate? Because you're right, a lot of people are upset with the insurance industry and they might see this person as somebody who did something. Unfortunately, what he did was he took another life. Which is why you're seeing all these officials that are saying, let's not celebrate this guy. He's a killer. He planned this and he killed someone. How do we have that separation, though? Because obviously the context is going off in all different directions.
Well, I think one of the things that's really helpful for us to understand is that as humans, although we struggle with it, we hold a complexity of emotions. And so I think part of what we're seeing is obviously lots of people, their values would not support a killer. They do not think that murder is acceptable, that that's the right way to get justice for an unfair system. And simultaneously, that there are a number of those same people who feel a level of relatedness, right, and understanding. They too feel exploited by, harmed by the healthcare industry, the insurance industry. And so we sort of project that. It's like, I can't do anything about this system. So we begin to project this desire to change the system onto this kind of, you know, we've really made him almost mythical at this point, right?
I've also seen a lot of people, you know, idolizing and really fantasizing about who he is and his good looks. Some people have, you know, you could compare that to the likes of Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, and you see people who really put them on a pedestal as a criminal, and women and other people that are just sending messages to these people when they're in jail. What is the fascination behind that? I've never been able to understand that.
Well, I think there's a lot of complexity to that, like across the board when we look at these serial killers. And I think part of it is the charisma and like there's sort of these things that are just almost universally appealing. I think in particular in this case, there is kind of this, I almost liken it to like Batman. Right? He's sort of like attractive and mysterious, and he's trying to save us all. That's the myth. Like, that's not the reality of what's happening. But I think that there is this part of us that's like drawn to, right? Like, women love Batman, Bruce Wayne, the fantasy of this man who is this vigilante who's out to like protect us and fight for justice. That's not how real life society works, but the fantasy is appealing to many.
So, okay, so let's go off of the part fantasy, part investigative minds, because everybody seems to love true crime specials, including Jacqueline, who does them here for Fox Local. So how much of it is the six-pack, chiseled abs, good-looking, you know, 20-something guy, versus this is a rich kid who had everything going for him? Why could he possibly do this? How did he do this? Let's put those pieces together and play amateur detective. How much does that play into it?
I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. And it certainly, it's not my area of expertise, forensic psychology, but I think we start to look at the level of privilege, maybe what are some of the family dynamics, and just sort of looking at the ways in which he also feels above the law and outside of the system, like, oh, you all don't know how to fix it, I can fix it. Like, there are some very fascinating psychological dynamics here that are very similar to other killers in my sort of limited expertise in that area. And so I think, like you said, we're addicted to true crime. We're addicted to being saved by heroes. Like, there's a lot about this that is very appealing to human psychology. And I think when we really take another step back and look at how many people in this country are feeling right now, people do feel scared and desperate and hopeless, and they feel taken. No matter who you are, where you know, sort of fit in this society, a lot of people are feeling like they don't know how to get through the year. Right. They feel taken advantage of. And so now we've got this story where we can really project those feelings and the desire to be saved onto someone else.
A lot of people saying, and I say this tongue-in-cheek, this might have given Twitter new life, or the X platform, because a lot of people have gone on because this is, looking for that information, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is that is fueling their desire at this point.
I mean, this has been baffling my mind for days now. I would love to have you here and have a whole longer conversation, but we have more to get to in the show. We'll have to have you back and maybe feature you on one of our true crime specials here shortly to talk a little bit about the fascination behind all of this.
Thanks, Esther.